Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a tutorial for how to create extreme head morphs for standard Iclone characters. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to use the G5 Chuck, just because he's the G5 head has a lot of good bones in it for the rigging that we can then in turn use the new 3dXchange pipeline with the head morphs to create custom characters for morphing in real-time animation. So we're going to just go through, and as you see, I've loaded the Chuck character onto our screen. For the tutorial, I'm going to get rid of his hair, just because obviously I want to be able to see the head morphs that we're going to apply for this character. So we're going to go ahead and take him out into 3dXchange, and this is the new 3dXchange pipeline with the head morph capability. So I'm going to bring him in to our scene here, and as you'll see, you'll have your Chuck loaded with the standard Iclone setup for animation. So if we want to go ahead and take a look at the character, in here you have the Reillusion face in our expression editor. It's preloaded, and as a result you'll see it has all of the actual different morphs and movements already applied on the character itself. And what we're going to do, as opposed to just manipulating these individual bones that you see here in the face, we're going to be doing more of an extreme head morph, and by that I'm talking about the actual mesh itself of Chuck's head, so his ears, his head itself, chin, cheeks, that type of thing, so that you can get in real time a whole bunch of different head morphs, as many as you'd like really, on one character that then you can apply in real time back in Iclone. So we're going to be focusing on this custom tab. Now, as you'll see here, there are no additional morphs listed here, as we don't have any created as of yet. So we want to go ahead and focus down here and create our own new morph list off of this base head. So we're going to start with the Reillusion face, and you're going to drop down. Once you highlight that, you're going to see the replace mesh component here, which is what we want to do. And we're going to leave it with the Y up, and we're going to export the mesh itself, and it's going to go ahead and save the model as the Reillusion face, which is perfectly fine for our purposes. So we're going to go ahead and save that. I already have obviously an instance of it saved, so it's asking me to overwrite it, which is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now the editor that I'm going to use, my personal preference is ZBrush. You can go ahead and use whatever modeling software you utilize, whether it's Hexagon or Blender even, and whatever you feel that is going to be useful for you for modifying the mesh itself. Again, for me, that would be ZBrush itself. So we're going to go ahead into the import tab. As you can see here, I already had a document loaded, so I'll just go ahead and create a new document for this purpose, so that way you can see it from scratch. For those of you that do happen to use ZBrush as well, this can double a little bit for you as far as how we operate in here. So we're going to go ahead and import now our Reillusion face model, which is the base Chuck unedited at this point. It's now in our toolbar. We're going to just drag, so that's a left click, and drag the head out onto the screen itself. Want to make sure that we click edit so that we can in turn edit the face, and then we're going to bring it into the frame here so we can take a look at it. All right, so one of the shapes that I want to do for the Chuck head is I'm thinking about doing a I guess mad scientist type look would be a good way of doing it. So I want to have a big extended head on Chuck. So we're going to go ahead and select our move brush, which is a right click on the brush palette, and you'll see the different brushes that you can utilize in ZBrush itself. And again, for this purpose itself, we're doing the move brush, which is the one that we already have highlighted. Now we do want to apply the symmetry, so that's under the transform tab, and we have our activate symmetry, and that way it's going to pull on the same sides. So I can increase my brush size fairly largely here because I want it to be able to pull the head itself up. And as you'll see, the mesh itself of Chuck's entire head is really kind of stretching out into a very oblong kind of shape for us that we're going to be utilizing. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. You can apply a mask and use this doing an inflate process, but this is just for the purpose again of just showing you how to estimate different and apply different morphs to the mesh itself for that one we're going to use back in Iclone. So there we've got a pretty good big cranial look for the Chuck base mesh. So we're going to go ahead and just export this back out, and as opposed to overwriting the original face, I'm just going to call this a Reallusion Face 1 object. And again, I've had several instances of these, and we're going to go ahead and save that into our folder. And then you'll notice when we drop back into 3dXchange and we go under the expression editor, then we have the Reallusion Face. We're going to click this add button because we're going to add a morph now to our character. And it's going to open up our folder, and we're going to pull out the file that we just renamed Reallusion Face 1 OBJ. And as you see then when we highlight, that's going to show the actual now head morph. So there's the original, and now we have the full-bodied big head morph that we're going to then be able to apply back in Reallusion. So I'll do another one just so that you can see that process again. We'll just jump right back into ZBrush, and I'm going to just get rid of the actual morphs that I created. I'm just Control-Zing those ones, so that way we can bring it back to the base mesh. And so for this one, let's manipulate the ears a little bit. We'll turn Chuck into kind of an orky type character. And again, you can apply your own morphs in detail. Take your time doing it. But this is for the purpose of how to do it, not the actual modeling of it per se. So we want a bit of a bigger nose for him to give it that more animal type look, and I want to bring down his brow to give him kind of a more of a goblin-y, evil-y type of appearance that we're just going to do. And again, these are just rough models out that we're doing it very quickly in this purpose, and maybe we'll drag his chin out a bit here like that. So we'll again export this, and I'm going to save this as the Reallusion Face, and I'm going to apply the number 2 to it. So that way you can see, obviously I'm doing this sequentially, just that's my nomenclature for it, just so I can easily track it. We'll save it again, and then we will go back to our 3dXchange, and again we're going to add the morph. We'll pull out our face 2, which is the OBJ file, and now you'll see our morph gets applied. So now we have our standard, we have our mad scientist, and we have our face 2, which is our orky type character, all on Chuck's face. Now we want to be able to bring these back into Iclone and be able to morph him and morph his whole head in real time. To do that, we're going to go now into the expression editor, and as you can see now on the custom tab, which is where we can apply the mouse movement to it, these different options, the two faces that we added, face 1 and face 2, those two morphs now show up. So when we click on, let's say, the upward motion, I'm going to apply the Reallusion Face 1 as a full, and make sure you don't forget to click set, because that actually applies the morph itself. And as you can see, our Chuck character has now the weird scientist head. And then to the right motion, I'm going to then apply our orc character and press set. So now those are now applied directly onto the Chuck character and our facial motions. So we have the different, and again, you can do any number of them that you feel like and have patience to do. And then we're going to go ahead and just bring Chuck back into Iclone with the Apply to Iclone button, and he's going to go ahead and now load in our stage. So now we've got our standard Chuck, but with extreme facial head morph capability in real time. And through that, we're going to access the animation tab and the facial animation. And by going to the puppet tab, we're going to select our 3D custom tab within the puppeteering panel. I'm just going to turn off the actual head rotation scenario. So now when I want to preview my motions, if you'll see Chuck, we've got a regular Chuck, and then with our motions, by using the mouse motion, right, we can create our orc character, and by pushing up we can create our mad scientist type character. And these now can be applied in the middle of your animation if you're doing a conversion to have, you know, some type of dream sequence, or have Chuck convert into a crazy monster of some kind that you've created, or if you know, you're doing a morph scene where you're creating you know, a fight scene where his nose is getting broken and you want it off skewed, you could do the same type of thing by adjusting the morphs themselves to have different scenarios, or swell up his eye using that type of a technique as well. So I hope you found that that useful, and you can use that process to create, again, any number of head morphs that you can then apply in real time during your animation with full puppeteering mouse control.